Ask a normal text-to-speech engine to read a sentence, and it always sounds the same. Same flat tone, whether the words are a joke, an apology, or genuinely terrible news. It renders text, but it is not really in the conversation with you. So how do you build a machine that talks like it actually understands the moment? Sesame's answer is a conversational speech model called CSM, which listens to what came before and shapes its voice to fit. Let us walk through how it works and how it closes that uncanny valley. First, let's see the gap that a conversational speech model is built to close. Traditional text-to-speech treats every sentence in isolation. You hand it a string of words, and it renders them in one neutral, context-free voice, no matter what was said a moment before. It cannot tell excitement from sympathy, so a punchline and a condolence come out with the exact same rhythm. The words are correct, but the delivery is flat, and that flatness is what keeps it stuck on the wrong side of the uncanny valley. Sesame's CSM works from the whole conversation instead. It takes the prior turns, both the text and the actual audio that was spoken, and conditions its next reply on that history. So it can read the emotional context, adjust its tone to match the situation, and place natural pauses and emphasis. Sesame calls the goal voice presence, the quality that makes a spoken exchange feel genuinely understood rather than mechanically processed. So how does CSM actually turn a conversation into speech that fits? Follow it one step at a time. Every reply begins with the conversation so far. CSM takes the earlier turns as segments, each one carrying the text, who spoke it, and the real audio of how it was said. That history becomes the context the model reasons over, so it knows not just what to say next, but the mood and cadence the moment calls for before it generates a single sound. From that context, the model works out how the line should feel. It reads the emotional signal in what came before, then decides the prosody, the rise and fall, the timing, the emphasis that a neutral engine would flatten out. This is where a plain answer becomes an actual reaction, matched to whether the exchange happens to be playful, tense, or gentle. Now, the model produces its output as audio codes, not a waveform directly. CSM runs a llama backbone with a smaller decoder that generates MIMI codec tokens, one semantic codebook, plus several acoustic ones per frame. Because it is a single stage, end-to-end design, the meaning and the sound are predicted together rather than split across two separate systems. Finally, those tokens get decoded back into the voice you hear. Because the pipeline is compact, it is designed to run fast enough for interactive, back-and-forth conversation rather than slow offline rendering. The result is speech that carries tone, rhythm, and feeling drawn from the real exchange, which is exactly the present Sesame is chasing when a plain reader falls short. Strip it back, and 3 ideas define a conversational speech model. This model listens before it speaks. Instead of rendering one sentence in a vacuum, CSM conditions on the conversation history, text and audio together, so every reply inherits the tone of the moment. That single shift from isolated sentences to remembered context is what separates a conversational speech model from ordinary text-to-speech. Under the hood, it is one end-to-end model. A llama backbone drives a compact decoder that emits MIMI codec tokens, blending semantic and acoustic information in a single stage. Sesame reportedly trained sizes from a 1 billion parameter backbone up to 8 billion on roughly 1 million hours of mostly English audio, and released the smallest CSM-1B under an Apache license. It is impressive, but not finished. Sesame reports that in blind tests, listeners could not tell single sentences apart from real human speech, Yet they still preferred real recordings once conversation context was added. The model also is not a general chatbot. It only generates speech, so the remaining gap is exactly the conversational prosody it was built to master. All right, let's lock in the essentials. A conversational speech model generates a voice that adapts tone, rhythm, and emotion to the dialogue, instead of reading text in one flat, context-free tone. Sesame's CSM conditions on the conversation history, both the words and the prior audio, so it reads the emotional context and matches its prosody to the moment. Under the hood, it is a single-stage, end-to-end model, a llama backbone plus a decoder that outputs Mimi codec tokens for natural, expressive speech. Remember that it chases voice presence, closing the uncanny valley that plain text-to-speech leaves wide open, though Sesame admits it is not fully there yet. If turning dense AI research into plain explanations sounds good to you, come explore more of it with us over at standary.com.